Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. I have another Tomica Hyper Series review for you today. This is the Great Ambulance. It is part of the Hyper Rescue team that Hyper Rescue Zero and all the other kind of fire engine and fire rescue related vehicles are also a part of. And this sucker's pretty huge. As you can see, as it advertises, it has sounds and lights. My favorite part of the front of the box, though, has to be them imitating the siren sound as beebo, beebo. And I don't know why. It makes me laugh every time. But the front cab section here of the Great Ambulance can actually turn into a helicopter. And then the trailer is kind of a little mobile command center. So very, very cool toy. Taking a look at the top of the box here just kind of shows the Great Ambulance. Taking a look at the bottom, shows Hyper Rescue Zero. Then some of the other Hyper Rescue vehicles, of which we've already taken a look at number 2. And then here is a lot of the smaller cars that are also available. Taking a look on the side, you can see the command center, the helicopter, and then this is kind of the whole like squadron of everything that's available with a pretty nice picture there. Sorry my lights are kind of going a little crazy when I'm that close, but let's get that to focus. And there we go. So as you can see, the cab does become a helicopter. It has some functionality itself, which we'll take a look at. Here's the command center. You have some lights and sounds in there. It does have some functionality where it can connect with Hyper Rescue Zero. Of course, we'll take a look at that. This thing's got a lot of playability. It's a lot of fun. It's a really cool toy. It does a whole lot of cool stuff. So without further ado, let's get to it and take a look. So here is the Great Ambulance out of the packaging. As you can see, it is very stark white. It's going to throw my lighting off a little bit. I'm going to apologize for that up front. But the thing is just really super bright white, which is nice. I've already taken the liberty of applying all of the stickers. There's a pretty large, pretty decent sticker sheet that is a part of this guy. So if you do decide to pick it up, just be aware that you are going to have to spend some time kind of, this is stickers, this is stickers, stickers, stickers. This is paint, the red line that goes through, so I do appreciate that. And there is a lot of nice detailing on the thing that is not stickers, but there are a lot of stickers. But as you can see, you got some really cool treads detailed here. There's some wheels here in the front. Taking a look at this side, pretty similar on both sides. Sticker on the back here says Great Ambulance Medical Center. Has some clips here on the back. So very, very cool. How the lights and sound gimmick works. I guess what I'll show you first is this whole section can lift out of here. And then this is where you would insert, it takes, I think it's 2 AAA batteries. No, I'm sorry, it's 2 AA batteries. Because I thought it was going to be triple at first, and then I realized, oh no, this takes AA, and I had to go get some AA batteries. But that's where you put it in, and then the switch to turn it on is right here. The speakers right here, and then the LEDs are in this part here. So press the little button. So you get some alternating red LEDs. And I'm sorry they're probably not showing up fantastically on camera, but you can kind of see them alternating there. And I don't know if that'll continue to do that until I stop it or not, but it seems to go for a really long time. If you hit the button again, though, and then you hit the button again and it turns off. So as far as I know, it will continue to make that ambulance siren sound until you turn it off. Not 100% sure on that, but as far as I can tell, I've let it go for a pretty long time, and it really just continues to go on and on and on. So there's that. I'm going to separate this into the 2 main components. You can lift this up if you want to. You don't have to. You can just separate it without lifting it up. It's probably better if you do lift it up a little bit, but this is the main cab section, which I'm going to put off to the side for a minute, and we'll kind of revisit a little bit later. But taking a look here, you can fold this up, and then it can click down again, and you can still do the sounds and everything. So you can click through that. The other thing you can do is when this folds down, this will rotate 180 and then sit down. And then you can pull this ramp out. And then this will rotate 180 degrees. And you can see under here, so there's an LED under here as well, which I think is pretty cool because this is kind of the bay for the emergency vehicles. And, you know, when they're deploying, you can have the lights kind of go off and signal that they need to deploy. So I think that's really cool. You can see here there is a ramp. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer. There's a ramp here. Once you get to here, this can actually turn. So you can turn here for the first bay, turn here for the second bay, or they turn here for the third bay. Now the third bay goes off and goes onto this elevator, which if I can get a look in here, you can see there's a little kind of parking sticker there, and then it says Great Ambulance in the back. And then all you do is lift this up by hand. And it stops about there. And that's just so you can service some of the patients that are up there. And how that works, you can see there are 3 beds, and then there's little holds here to clip the little figures on by their feet so that they can rest in bed while you're kind of attending to them. And then this up here is actually a helipad, so if you need to medevac anyone away to another hospital, you can do that. So I think that's pretty cool that they've really kind of covered most of the bases of things you would need. You have a spot for your emergency vehicles to deploy. You have kind of a makeshift first aid center for kind of on-site triage, and then you have a helipad here if you need to helivac any figures out. So I think it's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and bring in some vehicles, and we can take a look at them, kind of where they go and how they interact. So there you go. As you can see, I have some of the figures here on the beds where you just kind of sandwich that little piece in between their legs to keep them in place. With the rescue vehicles, you can spin the turntable, then they will come in, and then they will swivel, and then they can come down the ramp. Or if you'd like to have the ambulance come in and he needs to get to the patients up top, you come around to the side, lift straight up, and then you can have your ambulance open up with some patients that you need to set up in the medical center area. And then, of course, you have the helicopter on the helipad getting ready to medvac patients away. Now, unfortunately, this does not have the sound link system like Hyper Rescue Zero does. It doesn't matter which vehicles you put in these bays down here. They really just... it's just a spot for them to store the vehicle so it can deploy. I still think it's really cool. I like the little elevator gimmick. I like the turntable with the different bays and the elevator. You have the little medical center up here. I love the helipad. And it does have lights and sounds. It just doesn't have the sound link pin system to read the different vehicles. But still a very cool little mobile command center here. Alright, so taking a look at the cab section. As you can see, it just has 2 clips here which clip into the front of the other mobile command center area that we just went through. Really cool. I love the way this opens. It really reminds me of like Rodimus Prime from G1 Transformers. Just the way that canopy opens. And of course there's a spot for 2 figures in here. And I'm going to bring some figures in. Now this set does not come with any figures. All of the cars and figures I showed off in the mobile command center area, I have previously reviewed. Their separate releases. These 2 are actually from the Hyper Rescue Set B that I reviewed not long ago. And the other cars I reviewed, they are also separate releases. So unfortunately this set does not come with any figures or cars, but they're easily obtainable and they're all compatible. So you can see those 2 guys riding around inside there. Looks very cool. Now to transform this, I will say it rolls very well. So you could even just have the cab kind of cruise around, but it does transform into a helicopter, so let's get to that. The first thing you're going to do is this whole wheel section actually unpegs. And it's probably a little bit easier to do this later on in the transformation, but I like to do it first. Just personal preference. So go ahead and unpeg those and set them off to the side. The front section here will split apart and swing out to the side. as you do that, you can see there's a swivel right here. So they will swivel around like that 180 degrees and then keep swiveling it back, and they will actually peg together back there. And that kind of forms the back part of the helicopter. You can already see there's some cool like ski pieces for the bottom of the helicopter, which were uncovered by unpegging the wheel sections. And then this piece here will just extend out like that, and then they'll each extend out a little bit more. Whoops, apparently you can slide them all the way off, so be careful about that, because you don't want to do that. There is like a logical like click. You'll feel it kind of click into place, just don't pull it too far. And then here you have the helicopter mode. The rotor spins decently well. Unfortunately, sometimes when you spin it, it'll just kind of, you know, click that over one. So if you spin it from the middle, I find you get the best result. But you can see this little lever here on the side, and how that works is you can actually lift up this entire section, and then you can fold this ramp down, and just to bring in another one of the cars, you can actually load that up inside, and then kind of close the ramp back up, have them take off somewhere, land again, open up, and then if you hit the lever on the side by pushing it up, it'll deploy the car. Basically what it does is it tilts the ramp inside down to pop the car out. So even if you have this closed still, it will deploy the car. So I think that's really cool. You could put a car inside and transform it back into the cab mode and just always have a car inside when it's connected to the ambulance. So that's an option if you need some more storage of vehicles. But I think that's really cool. I think it's really neat that the cab can turn into this functional helicopter here. So I really, really like that a lot. I think it's a lot of great playability with this set. Coming back to the trailer portion that forms the mobile command center, it does have some compatibility with Hyper Rescue Zero. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. And it's going to be probably difficult to keep these in shot at the same time, so I do apologize. But you see here there's two clips on the back. And those are the same two clips that the cab pegged into earlier. So you can just go ahead and peg those two together. And then what they recommend you do is take the wheel sections from the Great Ambulance, and you can actually peg them here on the front. On both sides. Which I'm going to disconnect the back cab for 1 second just to show you this. But you can see how that just pegs right onto both sides. Very simple. And then you can go ahead and peg this back in. Just like that. And then you have functionality with all of it all together. Unfortunately, this piece can't really come down. It almost kind of looks like it can because there's kind of this channel here. But it just doesn't work. So you do have to keep this extended like that. But I think that's really cool. Another thing that you can do if you disconnect this, you can extend the back of this out like you were adding those extra trailer sections like I showed in the review of the water truck. And I think I've gone and slid this all the way off by accident, because I do that almost every single time. There you go. So you can extend that out as far as it'll go, remove the two wall sections, and then you can come to the Great Ambulance and pull this out, as I showed you earlier. And you can actually drop this in here. And as you can see, it's the same size as 3 of those trailer sections. If I can get it to go in, there we go. And you can just add just that part to the back of Hyper Rescue Zero, and then just kind of have this deploy out of the back of that. So again, added functionality. There's so many different combinations you can do, which I think is really cool. Now at that point, you could also take this section, and this section will accommodate the 3 trailers. Unfortunately, I don't really have that to show you right now because I only have the 1. But because they're the same width, if you had the 1, 2, and 3 trailers from those vehicles, they would sit right in here, and you could plug that into the back of the cab, or you could again plug that into the back of this. Whoops, I have it backwards. So you can still plug that into the back and get this thing really going as far as how far you can extend this out. You can leave this in here and put the 3 trailers in there. You can put this in here, put the 3 trailers in here. You can put the 3 trailers in here and connect that to the cab of the Great Ambulance and leave the mobile command center with this guy. So many possibilities. I just think that's really, really awesome. I love when there's so much interconnectivity with all this stuff. I really think that looks really cool. So I really love this toy. It was a little difficult to track down at first because at this point it is a little bit of an older release. I think it was about 2014, maybe even early 2015 when it first was released. But I was able to track it down on Amazon Japan, and I think it was about $35 to $40 American before shipping after the conversion and everything. I think it's worth that. I definitely think it's got a lot of play value. You have the detachable cab. It can transform into a helicopter and kind of deploy a car on its own. You have the whole trailer being the mobile command center, which is really neat. Plus, if you have any of the other toys, there's all the connectivity, especially with Hyper Rescue Zero. You can take this part of the trailer off and put it in his trailer, or you can take the entire trailer off and just connect that to the back. If you have the other Hyper Rescue vehicles that have the individual trailers, you can place them inside. There's just so many connectivity options, and I really think it's a lot of fun. The only way that this release could have been any better was if they somehow instituted the link system with the pins on the bottom of the cars for the sound link in. But I don't really know where they would have put it. I think it makes sense because you have such a focus on kind of a whole mobile command center. I don't know where you would have worked it in there. And it doesn't really make sense to have it work with the cab either. So I can completely understand why it was left off of this. There's just not a logical place to put it in. They did still include lights and sounds, which I appreciate. They just didn't put that, link in system with the pin reading on the back of the cars, or on the bottom underneath, I should say. So I still think it's a fantastic release. That's the only way you could have made it better, but I really don't know how you would have integrated it, and I can see why they didn't. So I think this thing is worth the money if you can track it down for a good price. It's definitely a lot of fun in my book. I love the thing to pieces. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like and share this video, and please subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you've enjoyed this look at the Great Ambulance from the Tomica Hyper series. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.